records, you guys should be on page 426 in the green section. So EX 426. Okay, so yeah, what's up? Actually, find that. For what? Okay, so where we are so far and what we've completed in here is as follows. I got mine on the board. We've done the mortgage payment calculator, the varying interest rate schedule. We've done some formulas there. And then the last thing we worked on yesterday was we worked on the amortization schedule. We did some formula entry there, went around the room, made sure everybody was doing it correct. And in order to know we did it correct, I said the only number that should be 0 is J19, right? So we're to that point. Did you find it, the file I sent you, Chase? You download the file I sent you? No, that's not it. There's other. I just sent you another one. Click enable editing, top yellow bar. Okay, so sorry, I had to do some housework there. Okay, now what we're going to look at is on.
Good morning, Carl High School.
Never mind.
Today is Tuesday, August the 24th. Cafeteria menu for today is sausage patty, hash brown, pancakes, fruit, and juice. As we start the school day, with masks being mandated, please make sure that you have your mask every morning and that you wear it correctly throughout the day. Art Club meeting this Wednesday, August 25th, 3:15 to 3:45 in the art room. You do not have to be in art to be in Art Club. Are you interested in running for student council? If so, Google Forms have been sent out to your class Google Classroom for you to complete if you are interested in running. Student Council is a student representative organization made up of freshmen through seniors. These students serve as the voice of the student body. They help share ideas, interests, and concerns with teachers and administrators. You will need to have 2 teacher recommendations in order to complete the form. This is a great way to get involved in our school and voice your opinions. The forms will be open today and they will close this Friday, August 27th at 3 p.m. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Mrs. Neal. If you're interested in acting in the new fall play, auditions will be held next Thursday, August 26th at 3:30 in the choir room. You do not have to have anything prepared for these auditions. If you would like to participate but cannot make it to auditions, please see Ms. Register anytime after school, or you
So again, sorry. I think we'll finally get started here now. So now we're working on page 427, and it tells us to select cell J20. So find J20. And then they say within J20, you want to type in the word subtotal. Then hit tab to move over to K20. And when you get K20, it says, okay, we want to total everything above it, which is this one right here, auto sum, if you remember. So it's right here. It's the E looking thing. And when I hit that, it should highlight everything above, right? Then I hit enter. And it should give me a total of 404,000, right? Is everybody with me there? Okay, then what it wants us to do is go to J21 and type in down PYMT for payment. And then hit tab to go to let's see here. And then tab again to go to L21, and that's going to be equal. So in L21 equal D7. So you can type in D7 or click that cell. And it should be 115,000, right? Then if you look above L21 is L20 is empty currently, right? Click on that empty cell and do auto sum. Enter again there, which should give us our 129,357.22, right? Good deal. Then it tells us to go to J22 and type in the word total cost. And then go to L22. And in L22, we're going to do equal. It says K20 plus L20 plus L21. Enter. It's on the top of page 428. Equal K20 plus L20 plus L21. And it should give me 648,357.22. Correct? Yes? Head shakes? Yep. Raise your hand if you have issues. I'll come around. Help. Give me 1 second to help with these, then we'll move on. Okay. Next step. It tells us to highlight I-5 to L-5.
Pardon the interruption. Coach Palmer, can you dial extension 2102, please? Thank you.
And go right click, format cells. So highlight I-5 to L5, right click, format cells. Choose currency, 2, number sign, fourth one down, red negatives, okay. Then highlight I6 to L19. I'm doing it on the board. I6 to L19. Right click, format cells, currency, 2 decimal places, none for symbol, fourth one down, okay. Chase, format, right click, format cells. Currency, fourth one down, the red with parentheses. Okay. Then highlight what I got, I6 to L19, L19. Right click, format cells, currency, change the dollar symbol
Captain
to,
Butler, please report back to the cafeteria immediately. Thank you.
change the currency to none, the symbol. Then choose the fourth one with red negatives. Okay. There you go. And now what we need to do is highlight K20 to L22. Same thing, right click, format cells, currency, put the symbol back on for dollar sign, choose the fourth one, the red negative, and then hit OK for those. So you can see there again, we added dollar signs in certain places and not in others, correct? Yes? So that's all we're doing when we do that stuff. Does that make sense? Okay, then hit your save, so we're saving as we go. You can either hit the disk or go to File, Save. Everybody has what I have so far? We're going to move on from this step after we do this. Okay, so I've told you before, like typically when we do these, we're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting first. Does that make sense? Like the formulas, a lot of the stuff that is actually the more important stuff happens first. Secondary, we work on prettiness, right? We're making it look more attractive. But to me, prettiness and attractiveness, yes, you can say that about them. But what we're about to do is make it easier to read. Is really what it comes down to. We're going to take stuff out. We're going to add stuff that emphasizes things so that if a person that has no clue what we created can read it. Does that make sense? And that's the goal, is to make it so that everybody can understand what we just did. So now here's what we do. Go ahead and flip to page 4-30 if you're not there. And it tells us to highlight C4 to F8. So highlight C4 to F8. And when we do that, it tells us to right click like we've done before and find Format Cells again. So right click, format cells, okay? And so far we've been doing all this stuff, right? The numbers, changing that. What they actually want us to do this time is go to the fourth one over that says border. You see that? Everybody find border? And when you click on border, what it's going to do then is it's going to give you border options, right? It's going to say, what kind of border, what are we doing here? And here's what we want to do. Follow along. First thing to tell us to do is they say to go down to color. And the color they want us to select in this setup is green accent 2. Here's how you know what green accent 2 is. I hover over top of this one right here, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th one in between blue and green. I would call it teal, right? That's called green accent 2 or teal, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we picked that. That's our base color. Then they say, okay, what do we want to do? We want to do this one right here, outline. Okay, when we outline it, what kind of outline do we want to put on there? They tell us they want us to put a medium border, which would be column 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one down. Choose that. And then, like I said, re-click outline to make sure that it comes into play. And if you'll know it's correct if you look here. You see your thing? It should be showing what you're completing. Does that make sense? So on that screen it's showing, okay, this is what it's going to do when you hit OK. Is this what you want it to do? And we're going to say yes, hit OK. And then if you click back away from your blue or your stuff, it should be that now. Does that make sense? So you just put a border around all that material. Does that make sense? Head shakes at least again. Okay, then re-highlight C4 to F8. Okay, with C4 to F8 highlighted, what you're going to do is right-click again, go to Format Cells again, and go to Border again. This time, what it wants us to select is same color, but this time it says choose the thin one, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 7th one down maybe, the bottom one under the word none. And then go right here. This is our verticals. And it should put a thin line right there, yes? If it does that, hit OK. And now what you have on your screen is a border with a thin one. Does that make sense? Yes? Everybody good? Okay. Anybody else hot? Okay. You can save it if you want. Don't have to, but it's always good. I would say save more rather than save less, because that's just less stuff you'd have to redo if it screws up. Okay, now what we do is highlight C10 to F22. Right click, Format Cells, Border, Medium, Teal, Outline. Then Thin, Teal, Vertical. Click your vertical button. So thin, teal, then hit vertical. And it should show you both of those, right? If it shows you both of those that are completed, hit OK. So that we have that on there just like we had above. Make sense? Only difference on this one is as follows. Click that to make sure it's correct. And then highlight C10 to F22. Or sorry, C10 to F10. My bad. And then same thing, format cells. This time what they want is a thin teal bottom. And then when I hit OK again and I deselect, you see how I put a line underneath the title? Does that make sense? So that's what we're doing so far. Haven't lost anybody yet? Nope. Good. You guys are doing good. Hit save again if you want. Next step, H4 to L22. So H4 to L22. And what we'll do again, format cells. Medium, teal, outline, thin, teal, verticals. Okay. And those are done, right? Then highlight H4 to L4. Format cells on that. Thin, teal bottom. Okay. Easy enough. One more here this time. Then they say do H19 to L19. Right click, format cells, thin, teal, bottom once again, and hit OK. So now we have a separation between those subtotals, right? Everybody's doing fine on those? Hit save again. You guys are doing good. Next step, it says on page 433, if you're following there, change the height of row 23. So go to click on row 23, right click. Chase, click on row 23 like this. Like click here, and it highlights the whole thing. There you go. And then right click and go to row height and change that to 8.25. Then click on M and then right click on M, column width 0.85. Good? Okay, next step. It tells us to select. It's kind of difficult to do, but it's not really. B2, so find B2. It's that little one in the top left corner, right? So make sure it's B2. And it says highlight B2 to M22. So you're basically highlighting around everything, right? Oh, sorry, M23. Uh-oh, don't do that. So M23 to B2. So you're highlighting all the way around everything we just created, correct? And then right click, format cells. First thing they want us to do is a heavy style, which is this one. right below medium. Then they say color. They want us to choose blue gray text 2, which is column 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it says row 1. So that one right there. So it's like a navy blue. And then it says choose outline. So we're going to put a thick navy blue outline around it. Does that make sense so far? Everybody got that showing? Okay, then it says to go to fill. And within fill, it wants you to choose a white background. And then I click OK. And what should happen when I deselect? Did you see how there's no more patterns in the background? So you got a border around it. Does that look easier to understand now? Without all the excess lines and all that junk muddying up the water? Does everybody get what I'm saying by that? So now it's a much cleaner version of what we started with. Yes? So save again. Okay, next step is to highlight C12 to C22, which is our percents. C12 to C22. Chase, I think you're in the wrong one. There you go. Everybody got that highlighted? Okay, what we'll do then is under Home, we go over here. Do you see where it says Conditional Formatting? I'm hovering over it. Hit the down arrow, and it should give us options, correct? The option we want to do on this case is Highlight Cell Rules, first one. And then it gives us more options, right? The option they want us to select this time is equal to. When I click equal to, a box should appear on the screen, right? And it probably says 3.625 maybe. No? What do you guys got? Does it say that? Okay, that's not the one we want though. What we want to do is, with that highlighted, we go up here and we select cell F4. And it should say equal F4 absolute, right? With the dollar signs and all that. And then I hit OK. And then deselect. And now what do I show on my screen? Do I have a pink background with red lettering on 3.875? And that's showing that currently we're using a 3.8 rate, so it's highlighting a 3.8 rate. Yes? Watch mine up here. So if I change this to 3, you see how it moved to 3? And if I change this to 4.125, it changes to 4.125. Does that make sense? So that is bouncing that highlighted cell to match whatever we put in this cell. A lot of students, when I have them do this for a grade, will say, oh, I got this. And they'll highlight it. They'll change the background color to pink and change the font color to red for the 3.875 cell. And then guess what I do? I go up here and I change this number, and if that thing doesn't change, did you just lose points? Yes, because you didn't follow the steps. Yes, you made it look like this, right? But is it doing what it's supposed to? No. Do we understand the difference? So don't just make it look like this. It's got to function as well. Good? So make sure yours is correct. You can go ahead and change the numbers if you want, just to verify that you did everything correct. Okay, then on 436, it just shows that we can change the numbers. We've already talked about that. You don't have to do that. The next thing that I want to show you, I want you guys just to look up here for, because it's talking about printing. So don't even touch anything, just look up here. So turn your seats, look at me. The reason we don't have you guys practice this, because what happens if we practice printing? Then people accidentally hit OK and actually print it, and we waste money and we waste paper, right? So we don't need to do that. So let me explain to you how this kind of works. So there's a bunch of ways you can go about this. If I go File, Print, what do you think about that? Yay or nay? That's bad, right? Because that's half the sheet. It's not all the information that we want. So easiest first solution is always to change it to landscape, right? Is that better? But is it good enough? No. Because we still don't have all the information on one page, correct? So yes, we want to leave it in landscape, but still just not good enough, right? So what we do here is we say, okay, we want to fit this on one page. Better? Yes? So if you would print this, this is a better option than, I guess, printing two off and pasting them together or taping them together, right? And handing them to your teacher. It's like, no. Force it to fit on one page so that we see all the information. Make sense? So that's one thing I'm just going to show you. Another thing you can do is, okay, let's say Mr. Barr says, I just want you guys to print off the mortgage payment calculator. All you would do then is you'd highlight this section, go to File, Print. Still showing the whole thing, right? But it's like, okay, what do I want to print? I want to print the selection. See the difference there? So now we're only printing off the stuff that we've highlighted. Does that make sense? So there's printing everything, there's printing the selection. Let's see. What else I need to tell you? The next thing they talk about, which we don't get too much into, but it is important to understand, is cell protection. So let's say I'm a business and I'm putting this out on the internet for everybody to see. Do I want people to mess with stuff? No. So what I could do is I could protect the whole sheet, or I could just say, okay, I'm going to highlight, not that, I'm going to highlight like certain information, like these, and then I would go to Format Cells, and there's a protection here, and I could say hidden or locked or whatever, right? And I could lock them so that they aren't changeable. Does that make sense? So that people can't manipulate the data that's out there on the internet. Hit save, and that is it.